Happy New Year, and it's certainly a Happy New Year for Honda. However, their performance division, Acura, you could say luxury division, even though they don't identify as a luxury brand, Acura, they didn't have a great 2024. Today, we're going to break down the sales numbers that just came in. If you missed my Honda update video, go and check that out. Honda's on a complete roll. They're steamrolling record sales for CRV, HRV. They have the #1 segment leader with the Odyssey and the minivan segment, the Pilot and the 3-row segment, the Civic and the compact sedan segment. Like, they are running hot, Honda, but Acura hasn't seen that much sort of demand. They haven't seen the success. Their sales are down. We're going to talk about what's kind of holding them back. Can they recover here in 2025? That is what we're going to tackle today, guys. If you're excited, smash a like button. Maybe if we get enough likes, so get Acura back on track to where they should be. Now, Acura sold 132,000 vehicles in 2024, with second half sales up 7% compared to the first half. So they gained a little bit of momentum in the second half. December had the best month of 2024 for them, selling about 13,000 units. Acura ends the year with its best SUV sales since 2021. All right. They had a really rough 2022 Acura. Honda did as well. They had the best month for all-electric ZDX. ZDX made by General Motors. Check out my reviews on the ZDX. It's a fine vehicle, but it doesn't feel Honda or Acura. It's fast. It feels heavy, but it handles pretty well despite how heavy it is. I think it looks pretty cool. It's not really Honda. This is a placeholder, the ZDX, just like the Prologue is a placeholder until Honda and Acura start building their own EVs in Ohio very soon. So stay tuned. We'll talk more about that in this video. But let's keep moving. They're down 9% this year. Their cars, that's the TLX and the Integra, down 35%. Really rough. Their SUVs are up 3.8%. I say largely due to just this vehicle, the ZDX, being available, helping out their sales volume there. Oh, Q4, they were about even. So they had a strong finish to the year. Like we mentioned already, the car's still down 35% due to the restrictions at the Ohio plant, and trucks up 15%. So really strong close to the year, especially for those SUVs in the month of December, but their cars still dipping downwards. So again, check out my Honda video that I already made prior to this. Acura sales, first time they top 100 grand SUVs since 2021. Sales up 18% in the second half of 2024 and up 4% year over year. MDX sales top 50,000 units for the second year in a row with strong turn rates despite lean inventory. RDX sales, and notice that this lean inventory thing, this is also seemingly affecting the made in Alabama Ridgeline pickup truck. The Pilot's humming along just fine, but the Passport, there's so many P's in their lineup. The Passport is getting a redesign, and the sales down are on the Passport, but hopefully that ramps up here with the redesign coming in the first half of 2025. RDX sales up 10%. RDX is getting a bit long in the tooth at this point. No Type S ever came to the RDX. No hybrids. Hybrids are all gone from the Acura lineup, and that's kind of hurting the brand quite heavily, in my opinion. They averaged about 1,100 units per month during the second half. If they're able to average that out, let's say they're selling about 13,000 ZDXs for all of 2025, that's a possibility. Integra tops 24,000 units despite inventory issues due to preparation for the EV production in Ohio. I will be going to Ohio at the end of this month to detail for you guys what's going on with that assembly line, what's going on in Marysville to make way for the EVs, to make way for split production with hybrids and whatnot. So can't wait to detail that for you guys later this month. Integra continues to lead its segment with over 41% of the retail shares. All right. So let's go on down to the individual models. ILX, rest in peace. Integra, essentially the ILX, but a different name of it. The fancier Honda Civic, down 27% on the month, down 24% on the year. Now, what is going to help this entry-level space, I guess you could say, for Acura is the introduction of the ADX. They probably even mentioned it here. Yeah, ADX is arriving early 2025. It's built alongside the HRV down in Mexico at the Celaya plant. It will have the same powertrain plus all-wheel drive available as the Integra. So a 1.5 liter turbo CVT. I will be driving it, I think, in March. So stay tuned for my driving impressions on it. The HRV handles well, and this shares the same wheelbase, I believe, as the HRV. It's a longer vehicle than the HRV, so maybe a hair bit bigger. But it's essentially a crossover version of the Integra. That's how I see it. And what's that going to do? Well, they say welcoming a new generation of young buyers. Yeah, possibly. I would definitely say that this is going to attract a lot of old women. All right. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but ladies that maybe the RDX is too big for them, or they want something that's not as expensive, they still want that premium Acura badge. I see a lot of older ladies driving Integras down here. And if the ADX was available, I bet they would be driving that instead of the Integra. But it depends on the person, obviously. This is really going to help their sales on the bottom end, the entry-level end of the Acura lineup. So it's really going to help this Integra just carry the load for the entry-level vehicles and entry-level buyers for Acura. So excited for that vehicle, and not necessarily me personally excited for the vehicle. I'm excited for the health of Acura because of the ADX. ADX is, and if they come out with a Type S, holy cow, I doubt it. Highly doubted. But anyways, the ADX is just going to bring some sales volume and health to the Acura brand as they are struggling with sales right now. All right, so the Integra is down 24% on the year. The NSX rests in peace, unfortunately. They want to make a battery electric NSX with probably solid-state batteries, quad motors. We're just nowhere near that reality, I don't think. TLX down 55%. Now, we saw the Accord. If you looked at the Accord, down 70%. But the TLX down 55%. They only sold 7,500 units last year. It's sad. The TLX is a beautiful vehicle. It's a fun to drive sedan. It is outside of the Type S is especially fun, but it is slightly flawed. It's very heavy, the TLX, and it has very little back room or second row leg space. I feel like the Integra is actually roomier than the TLX. Yeah, these two vehicles just kind of occupy, unfortunately, they occupy a very similar segment, which is, I know the Integra is a liftback, but yeah, sedans just aren't doing well. Integra and TLX are proof of that, and Honda and Acura are almost sacrificing those sales for the future of the company. EVs, hybrids coming out of Ohio. I don't know if the TLX has a long shelf life at this point. They might discontinue it and eventually replace it with an Acura EV sedan. I think that would make more sense at this point, and let the Integra do the internal combustion work for the sedan / hatchback end of things. But time will tell. MDX down 13%. This is tough because the MDX is their cash cow. It's their best-selling vehicle traditionally. You can see the RDX catching up. I think the MDX, they're saying it's supply chain restricted, inventory restricted. Not exactly sure what's going on with that. Maybe it has something to do with recalls. I actually have no idea why it's being crimped with production, but it is. Despite that, still sold 50,000 units. Look at what the RDX did. The RDX is pulling Acura ahead for the crossovers as well as the ZDX. Now, the RDX, it's a really good vehicle. It's one of the biggest two-row crossovers in the segment. It's still fun to drive, but it's getting long in the tooth. No hybrids available for the RDX. No a Type S, unfortunately. Could you imagine a 300 plus horsepower RDX? That would be fantastic. So it just doesn't exist. And I'm not 100% sure what Acura will do with the RDX. Will they replace it like I'm expecting the TLX to be replaced by a fully electric counterpart? It's possible. And and maybe it's likely. I just don't know if they can afford to do that when the market's not quite ready for full-on electrification. So they, in my opinion, they need to have a redesign of the RDX, not necessarily a TLX, because it doesn't seem the demand, maybe the demand is there. It's just they can't come close to matching the demand. I'm not quite sure, but the Integra, you'll kind of pull the weight there. But the thing is like, well, then you just have, I know I'm all over the place, but I'm just, these ideas are coming to me as I go. It's just like, well, then you have this 3-liter V6 turbo that's only available in the MDX. I could see them killing the TLX, but then maybe they give the RDX another redesign with gasoline and they give it the 3-liter V6. That would be a hoot. That'd be so much fun, but we'll see. ZDX is a temporary product until Acura can replace it with their own EV. And so while I'm at CES this week for Honda, it'll give me an idea of what Acura will have coming down the hatch with their EV. Now, Acura is actually beating Honda to production with the 0 Series platform coming off the Ohio assembly line late this year. So what's crazy is we'll have, unless we get a surprise reveal for Acura at CES, I doubt it, to be honest. And unless we get a surprise reveal for the 0 Series EV for Acura, we'll have a better idea of what Honda is actually coming out with first, despite the Honda vehicles launching after Acura. It's just kind of strange, a bit bizarre, but yes, we've had the performance EV concept that I saw in Michigan. That could see some sort of production variant coming by the late 2025. But it's hard to say without having an official announcement from Honda and Acura about where they're going with the 0 Series Acura lineup. But the ZDX, again, it could be around 2-3 years before they kill it in General Motors, and Honda will split ways other than maybe fuel cell development. And maybe that's it. Maybe battery development with LG. They kind of both work with LG. But outside of that, I just don't see Honda and General Motors working together. All right, we know that Honda and Nissan and Mitsubishi are cooking something up to be finalized in mid-2026. Am I optimistic for Acura in 2025? And the answer is, unfortunately, outside of the ADX, I'm not that optimistic. Yes, the 0 Series EV will come for Acura, but it'll be at the tail end of 2025. It won't be enough to really boost the sales. Maybe it boosts the morale of the company, and maybe it helps us get excited for the future of the company. That new 0 Series EV coming out of Ohio in 2025. But the ADX is going to really put a Band-Aid on Acura losing their sedan sales on the Integra and the TLX. So entry-level ADX is crossover, something Acura has needed for years now, as the RDX has really become a much bigger vehicle compared to the first-gen RDX. The future of the TLX is up in the air. The future of the RDX is still a bit questionable if they're going to replace that with an EV. No hybrids in their lineup. It was a bit of a not the best decision by Honda and Acura to pull out their hybrids before the market was really ready for them. Honda and Acura had sport hybrids before their time. I didn't really drive too many of them. I wasn't a journalist, or I wasn't in this industry, I guess you could say, when those Acura hybrids were out. But Acura could absolutely benefit from having sport hybrids right now. The market's ripe for them, and they're seemingly skipping skipping ahead to EVs, even though the market, in my opinion, isn't ready for EVs, at least at a large scale. Maybe 10-15% EV market penetration in the next couple of years, but that's not something to like shift your whole brand over to and skip the stepping stones a long way, which is hybrid. So I'll see you guys in the comments. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic on Acura. ADX is going to do wonders for the brand, but that it's not enough to really get me excited for 2025 for Acura. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they surprise me with something this year. There is hope, though. As much as I seem down on Acura and the ADX, just it is what it is, and it's going to do well sales wise. Here is the big surprise, and I hope Acura does this. I hope they take the new Prelude and they give it the Acura treatment. So the Prelude for Honda is hybrid only. A lot of enthusiasts that love Honda coupes don't want anything to do with the hybrid. Maybe some do, maybe some are open to it, and that's what this vehicle is for. But a lot of the Acura and Honda coupe enthusiasts, they want a manual. They want Honda's high revving VTEC 4-cylinder engines. And if Acura comes out with their own coupe, which I'm like 95% sure they will, they've trademarked the RSX. So we should get an official reveal on an RSX this year. If not this year, next year. All right. Honda doesn't have bespoke models, or they don't anymore. They're too cost effective. So we don't see anything like an S2000. Acura had the NSX, right? But that's something for performance flagship Halo product. For Honda to have a bespoke model not shared with Acura wouldn't make any sense. I know the Ridgeline is kind of like that, but that shares the same platform, as the other large vehicles within the Honda and Acura lineup. So it's not that much extra, I guess, engineering. Now, this is not that much extra engineering either, right? This is a modified Civic global platform. There's no way there's just this Honda coupe and not an Acura coupe, with Acura not having hybrid. So what is Acura going to do? 1.5 liter turbo, 6-speed manual. CVT is an option probably, or should I say CVT is the standard transmission, and then the 6-speed manual is optional. And then Acura, go big, Type S this thing, give us the 2-liter turbo, 315 horsepower, 6-speed manual. Some people say, super handling all-wheel drive. That's not going to happen in this. Yes, this is the one thing that Acura would get me very excited about, is to give us a Civic-based coupe, essentially, with fun-to-drive powertrains with the Acura RSX badge. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out my Honda, Toyota, Lexus, all the other end of the year update videos. I'm looking forward into 2025. Check all those videos out. I just have a blast talking about how these companies are performing and where they're going. It just makes me really happy. So I appreciate your guys' support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.